Hello and welcome back to the Daily Grind where gamers find grace. This is your rest stop. This is your charge station where you go to get good at life, IRL, and in video games, INV. Okay, I just made that up on the spot. I don't know if it works, but I made it up. So, this is episode 6, not lucky number 7, but episode 6. But tonight is very special and lucky indeed because all of the kids outside, and I have my co-op partner in real life, my wife, here with me, ready to be my guest. She comes with all kinds of knowledge, all kinds of talents, and she, I think, is a role model for women out there, especially mothers or those who want to be mothers. And she's got a lot to share with us tonight. So please welcome her gladly. And if you want to pull your, what did we just get? Tier 1. Thank you, Shaun McAfee, for the 3 months at Tier 1. I appreciate that. There's also a really important note to make tonight, and that is that we're going to take a departure from the usual script of having a ton of fart jokes. And we're gonna be real men tonight who don't ever fart, ever, period, forever. Okay, so take that to the bank. I promise, not to make a fart reference. Actually, they're dotted throughout the show, so don't worry about it. So that's all we're gonna talk about is being good men tonight. No, just kidding. Let's look at our spiritual journey for the night. We're gonna start out with spiritual patch notes, or we're gonna talk about tackling the theme of despair and how it can ruin our lives and slow us down. Then we're going to talk in the checkpoint reflection segment. We're going to see how faith shines a light in the darkest moments of our life to rid us of that despair. After that, it's co-op mode, where yes, we're going to sit down with my wife, or we're going to see how much she loves me. That actually comes in Boss Battle, and this is the final test of her gamerdom, where we're going to see if she can pass a good and healthy 15-question quiz on Donkey Kong Country on Super NES. That's her favorite game. We're going to see if it's really her favorite game. So if you paid attention to all those words that I just said on the script, you will notice that every first letter forms the word fart. Totally kidding. But just pretend it happened. She's shaking her head over here. I see it out of my peripheral. We're going to follow that with Boss Battle, of course. We're going to do Poll Party. It's going to be more Donkey Kong-themed trivia, and hopefully the kids are still behaving by then. They're outside watching a movie. And then we're going to end with Grind List. We're going to do a send-off, as we always do, thanking our patrons and reminding ourselves how to buckle up and get ready for another week of grace earning. Here we go, segment 2. All right, guys, let's take a minute to patch golly, I obviously can't speak tonight. Let's take a minute to patch the soul. Speaking of, have you ever get a soul patch? Don't. Okay, I've been saying patch the soul for a few episodes now, and if you don't know what a soul patch is, yes, go look it up. It's not derogatory or anything. It's really bad. And if I ever find you with a soul patch, I'm gonna unfriend you, I'm gonna unfollow you, I'll kick you out of the server and everything else, okay? So spiritual patch notes. In gaming, despair is that moment when you hit a wall, the boss you cannot beat, the pit you keep falling into, the game over the screen that taunts you. Despair in the life works the same way. It whispers to us that we've failed too many times, that our hope meter is empty, and that maybe pressing the start again is just not worth it. But here's the truth, and we should all know this, but it begs being reminded about, is that video games remind us that despair is not the end. We can restart. We can respawn. We can get back on the grace train, not the gravy train, the grace train that's always turning at full speed. When despair clouds cloud our vision, but perseverance teaches us that every setback is just another chance to grow in skill, faith, and courage. So despite the need to feel like you're going to quit, rage quit like we talked about last week, grace gives us to the ultimate continue screen. We keep drawing from that, and I encourage you to deep Take a drink of water. Wow. I encourage you to think a little deeply about that. So, about the struggle, before I go into checkpoint reflection, I was talking to my son earlier about this week. I need to point out that we all struggle in the spiritual life, whether it's this sin or this temptation or this proximity to sin. I want you to imagine like quicksand. Actually, that might not be a great analogy. I want you to imagine mud. So, mud is really hard to get through, right? You can't walk straight. You probably have to take extremely high steps to get into the next little pocket of mud. And you feel like you're really stuck. That is struggling. I feel like some people think that struggling is like struggling to get back on the horse, like never going in the mud at all. I think that our culture tells us that a struggle with a certain kind of vice or a certain kind of temptation or whatever it might be you're struggling through, having a good attitude, that you're not even, that a lot of people in our culture say that you're not even getting started when you're struggling. I'm struggling to have hope, or maybe not even have hope. I'm struggling to like my boss or something like that. But struggling is whenever you are in the grips of grace and you are trying and trying and trying again. I was just talking to one of the people in the Discord on the phone today, unnamed, and we were talking about forgiveness and God's grace and how forgiveness. We were talking about that. What every one of us think about, which is that moment where you go to confession, you have a great week, you sin mortally, can't get to confession for a few days, and you get hit by a bus. Well, where do you go? Do you go to hell because where you weren't able to go to confession? Because the Catechism does remind us that if you die in mortal sin, you are not welcome into heaven, right? There's a more eloquent way to put it, but that's what it says. But the fact is that you exit mortal sin the minute you have contrition for your sins. That is the minute your struggle or your grind becomes a struggle, is whenever you reach back into that hope, you overcome that despair. Your minute of overcoming that sin doesn't actually come after you receive the absolution. It comes from the moment you feel contrition, because contrition starts, or forgiveness starts where contrition starts, right there. Okay, I want you to think about that and despair and apply it however you've got to your spiritual journey. Okay, that's your spiritual patch notes. Went a little off the cuff there. We're going to go into segment 3 and talk a little bit more about it too. Okay, checkpoint reflection. Despair is huge spiritual damage. This will take your whole XP bar away, right, gamers? It's the way that it's more than a desire to quit. It's also the complete desire to not even try again. I kind of pointed that out a minute ago. Not because you feel like you can't, but because you don't see a reason to anymore. And the feelings of despair are all over the Bible. In fact, this is one of Jesus's primary messages, is hope. If he made a miracle, he gave us hope. If he was preaching, it was a message of hope. If he rose from the dead, it was to give us hope. It was to bring us out of despair, right? And so I'm going to choose one of those many references for you here to reflect on. When despair comes, Scripture tells us to lift our eyes to what is true, good, and beautiful. The psalm asks, and this is Psalm 42 if you want to open your Bible, "Why are you downcast, O my soul? Hope in God, for I shall praise him again." The truth is that despair is a lie. Christ has already won. Our souls aren't down. It's not downcast. We've already actually got it in the bag, so to speak, with the win. Jesus did that for us. The good here is found in patience, endurance, and prayer. That is the good, the beautiful, and the true, right? The beautiful is revealed in the way that God brings joy out of darkness, Easter out of Good Friday, right? And in despair, we can anchor ourselves to Romans 8:28. We should all have this known by heart. All things work together for the good of those who love God. So knowing the game isn't over until he says so, and that is whenever you enter your beatific vision, because you persisted with the struggle to final perseverance. And that is your checkpoint reflection. And here we go. We are going to meet my wife. Ready? All right, tonight is co-op mode, and this lovely lady to my, is it that way? To my left, but on the screen to the right is Jessica McAfee. I'll just tell you a little bit about her. You probably know her a bit, but we're going to get to know her a lot more tonight. She is a mother of 7 children. She used to be a wedding planner early in our journey together. She was the assistant to a college dean at a Baptist university. She is a fertility care practitioner. I'm sorry if I already said that. She is also an NFP counselor and teaches young couples how to use NFP, why to use NFP, especially the husbands, and to coach them through that whole sometimes very frustrating and laborious process. Jessica's obviously dealing with a little child there, and we're going to let Jessica do some talking. Hopefully, we get to see the little baby on the stream too. Did I get, there she goes. Did I miss anything, Jessica?
You did, but that's okay. I've done a lot of little things.
Okay, so what did
But
we miss?
I ran a floral shop when we first got married.
Okay.
I did that for a year, and I was a missionary for over a year. I went to India and Kazakhstan and Colorado, of all the exciting places.
All right. Of course, I left room for you to talk there. Okay, which one of those do you want to start with? Do you want to start with how much you love flowers? Do you want to start with your missionary journeys to the Far East? Or do you want to talk about fertility care?
Goodness, I don't.
Let's do this. Why don't you
Yeah,
introduce us to who's on the screen there?
this is Genevieve, and she owns half of my brain right now. You say hello?
Hello,
You see,
baby.
you dead?
Yeah. Hi, it's Daddy. What is he doing there on the screen? Tell us about Genevieve. She looks so much
Genevieve,
like you.
she is 4 months old. She might be the one who looks the most like me of all of them. All of the rest of them look just like Shaun from
Yeah.
what I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Shot of
so she,
Vision. Go ahead. Sorry.
no, go ahead. It's
Shot of
fine.
Vision says cutes. But I agree. She's a good baby. You can keep her up there as long as you want, so long as you can answer these questions wholeheartedly. Okay,
I can.
so let's do this. Talk us about fertility care. What is it, and what is it not? Are there any misconceptions that people need to know about what fertility care is?
Oh gosh, there's so many. It's hard to even narrow it down. But I guess my story and how I got to it was a little bit roundabout. I ended up going to the doctor because I heard that so many people have miscarriages. So when we first got pregnant with our oldest Gabriel, I was a high risk for miscarriage. And just started asking people and telling people, I'm afraid. I want to do whatever I can to help this baby, not 3 babies from now. And they sent me to Pope Paul the Sixth Institute, which is kind of where my conversion story also really took place in a lot of ways because we were Protestant at the time. So I started on progesterone shots, and sure enough, that pregnancy was difficult and there was a huge miscarriage scare. And the progesterone that they had us on patched it all up. And we ended up, Gabriel's 13 now, doing great.
So you're going to go with me to Irondale. Is it Irondale, Ohio? And we're going to be on the journey home to talk about exactly what you just messaged. So, or just mentioned. So in a limited amount of words, not in the amount of words that you're going to put on the journey home in a full hour special. How did the Pope Paul VI Institute help you to convert to the Catholic Church? Bridge us there.
Oh, they're just so real about their faith. At that point, Obamacare was coming into play, and there were a lot of lawsuits out where doctors who would not prescribe contraception were going to potentially go to jail. And I just talked to these people and asked them, how are you handling this? How are you doing? And they're just so real about their faith. They had a personal faith as well as the knowledge. And I think that that's where I had a gap with my Christian, not my Christian. So all of my Protestant people were saying Catholics don't know their faith. They don't have a relationship. That's where their fault is. And my goodness, did those people prove it otherwise, because they were ready to go to jail for their faith. They were lining up care for their children should they go to jail for their faith. Like, that's how serious they were about it. And
Right.
I was like, dude, we have got to pay attention to these people. We need to give them due. And I didn't think I was going to become Catholic at the moment, but that was their witness, their constant witness, how they cared for all of us, not just the doctor saying, I'm the doctor, this is how I'm going to take care of you, but how are you, and how is dad, and how is baby, and giving the dignity to the whole family immediately in the moment of conception beyond. Like, not it was just wonderful. And it goes even further than that in fertility care, because
Sure.
at the Institute, I worked mainly with infertile patients. And so the healing and the care that they received was so in depth and beautiful, as opposed to this horrific thing that most people go through with artificial not contraception, artificial reproductive technology.
Okay.
It was amazing.
Yeah, artificial contraception. That would be interesting. Well, let's go back to the fertility care thing. So I do want to talk about what exactly is fertility care, especially according to how you've practiced it, and what is it not?
Oof, what is it? It is a way of respecting your fertility. Honestly, it is saying, okay, this is the science. Men are fertile always. We can't count on them to not be fertile. And so, but the women are only fertile for a short window. And
Right.
so let's line those up and let's figure out what's going on with the patterns and what's going on scientifically with both of the people. And honestly, what it is it's science that has gone beyond the birth control era.
Right.
Most of the fertility has actually cut off since that point. And it took Catholics to say, let's push forward. That's not good enough. Quality of life is important, so is openness to life. And the dignity is just stripped away from people, and you end up using each other when you use contraception, or seeing one person as the gatekeeper, which is not very fair. Sorry, there's a doorbell going off now too.
Is there really? It's okay. Just ignore it. It's supposed to be chaotic.
It is.
So regarding fertility care and contraception, what are some of your? Well, I'll pop in with some more interesting questions. But how do you? This is kind of big brain. How do you think that Pope Paul VI Humana Vitae worked into how you were introduced to fertility care?
Oh, I mean, it's the basis of everything they do. That was how the doctor who decided to go further in his studies as opposed to go back ended up deciding to pursue this research. And he was basically just taking the challenge at the end of, doctors, please stand up and do the research, give us more options, find out what is actually reliable, but don't take away from the openness, don't take away from the unity, don't take away from what it's supposed to be either. This is a marriage. It's not just a, hey, we're legally bound and it's a free for all. It's, hey, how do we respect each other, and how do we give dignity to each other, and how do we give to each other as a focus?
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. So how does you can answer this question however you want. Hi, baby. How do you think fertility care can show up around the home, especially as you're raising kids or maybe even before you have kids?
the dignity. People don't give the correct dignity to the beginning of a person. You're not going to really give dignity correctly to anyone if you're not looking at the person from conception forward, or from their youngest, most vulnerable moments, or even all the things that can happen with infertility, whether that's the frustration between a couple trying to navigate it, learning a system, realizing it's not just the woman who has to do all the work or take a pill or do all the charting, but it's a joined thing. The man should be doing just as much as the woman is, and she should never have to say, hey, today's an on day. He should already know it. So it's a full system for both of them to use together.
Okay, so
And so it's
do what I, is what
pressure
I
off.
hear you saying? Are you saying that if the dignity isn't there, definitely in the sexual nature of a conjugal marriage, if the dignity isn't there, everything else kind of gets thrown out as well?
Not always. I think that there are cases where it doesn't, but it certainly doesn't line you up with the foundation to, if you don't respect each other in that manner, how are you going to respect each other as a whole person
Yeah,
at all?
right,
Let alone your children who come from that union.
right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying is if you can't get the most, and this is kind of like you think it's the most important, but the most basic thing that you should reserve dignity for, which is your sexuality, your sexual respect for your spouse. I'm not sure that you can have dignity elsewhere in the house, like sharing chores, sharing secrets, sharing important decisions like finances or careerism or when we're going to buy that house. Is that's kind of the message, right?
Mostly. I think
I
where
can't
the,
say anything right.
sorry, I think the
I
Creighton
point
model really
something out. I point
focuses.
something out, and you're like, nah.
Yes, but no. Yes, but more.
All right, at least you're not just agreeing with me to go on with the show, but redirect me then.
Yeah, with the Creighton model specifically, they very much point out the fact that you're a whole person, not just a sexual being, and that your intimacy and your knowledge of each other is not just that, but it goes far beyond that. It goes into what they call spice and the spice model. Maybe you were leading me here. Maybe that's
I
what
was
that
trying to
question was.
kind of bait you into talking about the fullness of your marriage as viewed through how we reflect dignity through how we treat each other sexually. Definitely.
Yeah, so that for sure. So it's also the spiritual and the physical and the emotional and the intellectual and the communicative and the creative. You have to meet each other as a whole person,
All right.
and you have to have in all of those parts.
All right.
And that's one very important part.
Break that down for us again, because it's called the SPICE model or a SPICE test. And anybody who's done, especially fertility care or NFP counseling in the, what is this the Creighton method? Or is this just
Great.
something? Okay. Now, is this standard in the Creighton method, or is this just something that the Pope Paul VI Institute wants to have you plug into those
Oh
couples?
no, so
Okay.
it's
Okay.
both.
Okay. Walk us through the SPICE exam one more time and kind of slowly explain the S, the P, the I, the C, and the E. And don't
I can
make the ice about the immigration and customs stuff. We're going to get in a lot of trouble for that. I'm just kidding. Talk to us about SPICE.
Okay, so it's SPICE is the acronym, and obviously you go even beyond this, but this is a good starting point, especially for people who've never really considered this or haven't worked on their relationship before. And so S is spiritual. You need to know each other on a spiritual level. You should be praying with each other. You should be reading the Bible and going over what you're learning together. You should be attending mass together and making sure that your children are being raised in that home. In order for them to have a good spiritual home, the couple needs to set it. Um, and then P is for physical. So
Nope.
that goes
We,
into,
we, we skipped I. Intimate.
oops, what?
Intimate. I. SPI.
I is SPI.
Yep.
I just did S.
Yes, you did S and then P and then I. We skipped
I
over
didn't do
intimate.
P. I didn't do P. We'll get there.
Oh, we're just dancing around the word.
What?
We're dancing around the acronym.
No, we're not.
I thought we were going in
SPI.
order.
We are.
I thought we skipped intimate.
Somebody spell spice for Sean.
Did you
So
already
that
do
I don't
I
have.
for intimate?
No. S is spiritual. P is physical.
Which I thought you just did.
I. It's okay.
Okay,
We're
go to
wasting
P.
time.
No, we got plenty of
So
time.
P is physical. How do you physically like to be active with your spouse? And that obviously includes the actual intercourse and how you join that way, but it also is anything else. how can I take care of you and our marriage physically, specifically when that is off the table because you're avoiding for some reason. Um, I see all your emotions a little bit
Yeah, we're gonna
less.
go. We're gonna go back, and I will unwind how I had to insert that, but that's okay. Okay, so now we're on I,
Okay. Yes. So
which is
with
which
physical,
is for intercourse, right? I is for intercourse. I'm just
no,
kidding. It's for intimacy. Now, is that just intercourse?
no. S is spiritual. P is physical, meaning what do you like to do? Do you like to hang out? Do you like to go do things actively? Do you like to travel? Do you like to go play ball? Like you got to find those things. I is for intellect. How can you grow intellectually with each other?
Hmm.
And then C is creative and communicative. So how do you handle both of those? They're two separate things. We just lumped them under one letter because they're both important. And then E is emotional. How can you support each other emotionally? How can you grow emotionally together? Do you feel connected with that person? And does that matter? Because to a lot of people, it doesn't matter. And to at least half the population, the female portion, it really matters.
Right.
So you got to get those things on the table. You have to talk them out, and honestly, it's a good jumping point for a lot of people because they've never been challenged on these levels to maintain their marriage in this way. It's
Okay.
something that they hope for, but you got to start a conversation. If there's no conversation, then how are you going to, you just don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So if somebody says, hey, here's a quick roadmap, take it from here and run, like that's a beautiful thing.
Are you saying you want to take me to Applebee's?
Always.
Yeah. Okay, $10 for anybody who understands what that reference is from. All right, obviously I failed the spice test, and I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna vindicate myself on how I got so lost. I think we tripped over each other, and that's okay. Hey, guess what? Married couples do that. Talk to me about wedding planning. Is this something you ever want to get back into? Why'd you do it? What was your favorite experience?
Oh, wedding planning. Why did I get into it? Because we needed money and I didn't want my kids going to daycare. That's the true answer to that.
Okay.
So when Sean was in North Dakota, we realized that the economy was going insane. We got married in 2008 and it was nuts. Everything changed. What his career path wasn't going to make as much money as we originally thought. We were thinking, okay, if we need to have two incomes, how can we do this? And so I got my certificate in wedding planning. I ended up getting, let's see, I was only a wedding planner, I want to say for 3 years, not that long, but I ended up getting a bunch of different awards from the Knot and bridal.com and various things because I was able to find a very successful niche within the medical community because everybody's meeting each other. They're all wanting to get married and none of them have the time. Yep, there you go.
I just want to point out that she got her wedding planning certificate from the University of North Dakota, so she did graduate.
I did. Yes, I did.
Tell us a funny
Yes.
story, because I know a couple. What's your funniest story from wedding planning? Everybody always asks you the same thing. Did you ever know any bridezillas? And you don't have to go in that way, but just what's a funny story?
So, oh gosh, one couple, this is a one I don't think I even told you before. One couple hired me just because they had a bridesmaid who was a Zilla. So
Oh,
bridesmaidzilla. She was
right.
horrible.
Right. Okay. Out
It
of
was so
control.
bad. Oh yes. And she pulled me aside at the end of this gorgeous wedding. It was a Coptic Orthodox wedding. And let's see, the bride's family had just immigrated one generation before. So, oh, none of them were from there. And then the groom's family were all from like Ohio or something, Iowa. So, very different crowd. I had to blend these two. And I had bridesmaidzilla in the mix of it. And they chose an Italian, of all things, an Italian venue. And so as we were going, the Coptic Orthodox priest had to do mass and a graduation for his own daughter the same day as the wedding. So it was hour and a half late to start.
Oh no.
And the bride was like, "Is everybody doing okay? How are they doing?" I was like, "Everybody's having a ball, actually. I don't understand how this is going so well because everybody's been waiting so long, but everybody understood what the situation was. So they handled it well." And then I was driving and I was leading the parents to the venue for the reception. And I got pulled over and got a ticket with them in the rear. It was horrible.
Oh my gosh. Was that when you were
Yeah.
driving that big, huge truck?
Yep. Yep. And the truck was the reason I got half the jobs I did because the dads were like, "Why on earth would you need a wedding planner? Can't you just do this?" And then they saw what I was driving. They're like, "Yeah, she checks out. We'll pay her."
That's awesome. I remember you had the logo there on the door of the truck, just putting your
Yep.
paraphernalia
Big
out
old
there all the
magnet.
time. All right, let's talk what everybody here is usually thinking about, and that's some video games. So your favorite game of all time, hands down, is Donkey Kong Country.
Yes. The
Okay,
original.
the original, and you always say that. And it's got to be Donkey Kong Country, because when you say Donkey Kong the original, that's obviously
It's not the
referring
one
to
with the
the,
little
yeah, where you're
up, down,
jumping
left.
over barrels and you got to rescue who we now know is, um, what's my girl's name? Florina? Clarina?
I don't know.
Dorina? I don't know. Whatever her name is. Morina? Okay, so why Donkey Kong Country? And tell me like your earliest memory of playing this.
Ooh, of Donkey Kong. So my parents got,
Pauline, thank you, Pauline.
yeah, I would never would have on that. My earliest memory, we got it for Christmas, and my
What
family.
year?
Oh gosh. Was it on the Super Nintendo or was it
It
on a
was on the
PlayStation?
Super, yeah. So
Yeah.
this is actually a trivia question later on. So maybe we don't want to go there, but continue. So you got it for Christmas.
Yeah. I think it
Don't
was when we got our first
don't start googling these topics, guys. You are here to be very faithful and honest with the things that are in that quiz. And
and
I'll come and get your lunch money if you cheat. Go ahead, Jess.
yeah, so we got it for Christmas. We got a game system and a whole box full of games from my uncle. He never sent gifts, but this one he just went all out on. And my parents went through the games and they took out all the ones that they disapproved of, took them to the video game store and got ones that they did approve of. And Donkey Kong was one of them.
Yeah.
So, yep, that's how we ended up doing it.
Why did the
So
game
we all
attract you? What attracted you to the game?
think how simple it was. I also like cool borders, if that tells you how great of a gamer I am.
Okay, cool borders. That's like the downhill snowboarding.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I loved that one. I liked the ability to keep going. It was far longer to play Donkey Kong, and we were living in Alaska, and it was boring. So when you don't have the toys, Alaska is very boring because you just sit inside a lot.
Yeah. I'm trying to type in here a translation of what you had just said. I said, well, what attracted you to the game? And you're like, I liked cool borders.
I'm just trying to say,
That helps us understand what attracted you to Donkey Kong Country. Did you ever, you and I played that game through. We played Donkey Kong Country 1, 2, and 3, and I don't know if we streamed that. Did we didn't stream it. We just had some fun in Italy
I
playing
think
it
I
playing it
think
on
we
the mini
might have
console.
once. I
Yeah,
think
maybe once, and we beat all three of them with a lot of the save help with the save states. No shame
yeah.
there. But did you, as a kid, ever make it to the very end or even close?
To the first one and the
Yeah,
second
yeah. At
one,
least on the
absolutely.
first one. At least on the first one.
And I'm a completionist, so I did it a couple different ways where I went through and I do it slow and I got everything. And then I did it the speed round where I went as far as I could, as fast as I could. And then I was upset with that because I didn't get everything. So I did it a third time, getting everything as fast as I possibly could.
Yeah, that is
And my
absolutely.
first time, sorry.
Go ahead. You're the guest.
I actually had
Also,
a friend.
you're the wife. So take it away.
Yeah, yeah, I don't understand what that meant. Um,
You get to overrule me.
oh, okay. So I remember the first time I watched somebody truly speed through that game. They didn't care about getting anything in the game. They just wanted to get to the end. And how quickly, like I think she did it in an hour and a half. It was
Wow.
insane, how fast it was.
Yeah,
And that was the original.
right.
She knew all the cuts and cheats, and
Sure.
she didn't have any completed except for the game had she had gotten to the end.
Right. It is astonishing how whenever you go through a game perfectly, maybe not even a speed run where you're kind of cutting corners, but when you go through a game through its normal format, those older games, yeah, it's under an hour. It's an hour and a half or so. So that sounds normal. So what do you think might have been your personal best?
My personal best, I have no idea. I never time myself. I'm
Okay.
sorry, guys.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. I just was curious if you had any guesses on what your personal best would be. Um,
Well,
and
we had really screen limits, so I could only do like half an hour a day, and I didn't count how many days it took, or at
was there
least I don't remember.
remind me, was there a save state in Donkey Kong Country?
There is.
Oh,
There is.
okay. So
You
you
can
can
save,
just continue through.
right.
Oh,
Yep,
okay.
there's
You're cutting out. Okay, so save states. Okay, I must have forgotten that. So as a kid though, did you guys have Donkey Kong Country 2 and 3 or was that only
no.
brought into your life later with me?
I'm trying to remember if we had two. I think we did. It was like right before I would have moved out though, that we would have gotten that. And so we played with, because that's where you play Diddy Kong. You're not just Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
So yeah, we
Okay. Cool. Did those games match up or is there just like, hey, look, there's something wrong with those and it's only Donkey Kong Country for me?
don't know. I like both. I liked both a lot.
All three of
And
them?
the third one, actually, I'm trying to think. The third one has the girl with the hair, right?
Pauline? I don't know. I don't remember honestly. It might
The monk.
have Kissy Kong or whatever. I'm sure K-Max is about two
Yeah.
seconds away from telling us, but it does escalate the characters. I vaguely remember what it was like to play through it, so I'm the wrong person
Dixie.
to ask. What? Dixie.
Dixie Kong. I
Dixie.
think that's right.
Yeah, you won't
Yeah,
see
she had the
that.
ponytail. She had the ponytail you could fly with.
Ah, okay, like Tails. They snuck
Oh,
it. They
pretty much.
snuck it from
Look
Sega.
at that.
Okay,
Yeah.
now you criticized recently Donkey Kong
Ah!
Bonanza. You criticized Donkey Kong Bonanza. Why?
I'm very sleep deprived. So when I saw it, I'm sure that I would remember the minute that I saw it again. What was it?
Okay,
Oh,
you
it
you
doesn't follow a straight path. So
it's not
you
a
can
traditional platformer.
I hate that. Like when the 64 came out, I was like, I'm done with this. This is the worst.
Oh man. Okay, so you don't like the 3D, more open world exploring kind of
No, it's
games.
too stressful.
Yeah?
Too stressful. And I am not good with direction. You know this about me. Nobody else here would, but I'm not good with directions.
Everybody be quiet. She might have said it, but you're not allowed to, and I'm telling you, just don't.
Google Map and maps are my best friends.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you this is that you're good at navigating through, matters of virtue and matters of marriage. So we've talked about a lot here. We've talked about a couple career track changes that you've had, and now you're a stay-at-home mom. What's the best thing about being a stay-at-home mom?
Oh, the babies.
Yeah,
They're so cute. Yes, they are.
that's why we keep having
Oh,
them.
well, like I've always been around kids. So before we got married, I was
I take
in charge
offense.
of
I take offense to that.
what?
I said I take
Before I
offense.
got married?
Well, when you married me before we had kids, never mind. My jokes are falling flat, I guess.
Sorry. I'm trying to focus and it's a little hard.
Go for
Yeah,
it.
it's good. But I've always loved being around kids. I was known as being the girl who always carried somebody's baby around church. I was in charge of groups of 30 kids at a time, and that was just me. I love being around kids. I will seek them out if they're not around, I will find them.
You will
If
smoke
they're
them out.
outside, I'll Basically, yep. I will go and find the baby and bring him to me.
What kid is behind you there who's supposed to be outside minding his own business and giving you some privacy?
And this is Augie, and Augie has been crazy to come in here. Hey, you need to go.
You know, if they can't stay outside, I'd rather have them in my office than over there with you where you're going to get distracted and okay.
Outside and play.
Okay.
Beanbag chair.
Okay, so Jessica, good luck with being distracted there, but let's try to kind of wrap the interview up, and we'll go on to boss battle. And we'll have some fun, test your knowledge. What is your best
Okay.
advice for young women out there who maybe don't have kids yet and they're struggling with infertility?
Infertility, find a NAPRO doctor. NAPRO technology is just it's phenomenal. It goes so far beyond what most doctors know, and it's going to empower you at the same time as they figure out what they do as doctors. You're going to learn about your own body and your own fertility, and it's going to completely change how you view your body. You're going to see it as a gift as opposed to a curse. They're also going to hold your hand through it and help you heal. So Shaun and I experienced some infertility, and we definitely felt like we were letting each other down. It's easy to feel used as well. And usually by the time you get to NAPRO technology, you've gone through several other types of infertility specialists. And so you've got a lot of hurt that's going on that nobody's addressed. And I think that it's beautiful that they bring in the whole person and make sure that you guys are doing well as a family as you're trying to grow your family, as opposed to, I'm a doctor and I'm going to get you pregnant for billions of dollars, which is wonderful. But
Right.
it's a lifelong, even single people, single women should learn this method because it's going to change how you view your body and how you take care of it. And you're going to know more than most of your OBGYNs will. In fact, I have recruited now 4 of my OBGYNs to go to NAPRO technology training
Right.
because they respect the things that I've learned. And I'm not a doctor.
Right.
So it's a little, don't trust
You're
me.
on the board of advisors, obviously, the unofficial board of advisors.
Oh yeah, I'm a high recruiter. And so I think that's why they wanted me to work for them is because I was bringing so many people in.
Yeah, so you recruit large quotas, not you are high and you're a recruiter.
Exactly.
Okay, just being totally
Very
sure because
important.
you got a baby in your hand and just kidding. Okay. More flat jokes. Any other advice to young couples out there, maybe just starting out, or maybe they want to have more kids and they're kind of afraid? You know, our society tells us that kids are expensive. Um, what do you have to say to that?
Oh, you need a worldview change. The first couple kids are expensive and it is a huge world change. You aren't used to not sleeping. You're not used to giving things up. You're used to being selfish and having your own time. And it's not to say everybody is, but on some level, you aren't challenged to have to grow in these ways unless you have children. And so when you get married, now you're having to think of another person and serve another person. When you have children, now they have to bump into a different slot. The same, you still respect each other. You're still married long after these kids are gone. So you have to keep marriage in its right spot. But also you need to learn to grow as a couple. How do we serve our children? How do we manage having priorities? How do we feed them all? How do we manage the house? How do we manage the fact that they need 3 meals plus snacks a day? And that's ridiculous.
You're talking about the husbands, right? Because the kids, we just crack the door to let some air in and put a bowl of water out, right?
That's one way to do it.
Yeah. Uh, well, it's tried and true, at least in the animal kingdom. Okay, yeah. So as Straight Lace points out, he's newlywed. I think he's newlywed of like 1 week. Straight Lace. Um,
Congratulations. That's awesome.
yeah. So he's going through a lot of these questions himself. Um,
Mhm.
any advice to folks out there who there's another kind of thing where maybe the men want to bring additional children into the house and so do to a certain extent the women, but they're kind of unwilling to go and find those resources like a NAPRO doctor or maybe to get on an NFP schedule and learn how to kind of test themselves with their fingers. and the mucus and things like that. And any advice for people out there who kind of especially from a couple's perspective, kind of struggle on coming together to achieve those goals?
Well, anyone can always contact me. I think, yep, my all my information should be in there, I think, for Facebook and Instagram. I'm not on a lot of social media platforms, and I check even less of them, but I do check Instagram and Messenger quite a lot. So you can always message me, friend me, maybe shoot me a note saying where you know me from, so I don't think that you're some rando.
Hey, hey,
That would be me.
I heard you talking about babies over there.
Right. Um, so yeah, I'll friend you. Otherwise you can go to fertilitycare.org and they've got a great search engine. And on that search engine is anybody that has a center who has kept up with the institute. And so anyone who's on there, look for someone certified and you're going to find lots of resources. There's people who are online, there's people who are in person. Like it is so easy to do it now. It's wonderful.
Okay.
I I want to go back because there's more to learn and they've updated some things. So it'd be fantastic to someday do that.
Okay, let's stop having kids so you can go and help others do that.
This would be Vivify Fertility Health. That's my doctor. She is fantastic. If you're wanting to just go straight to a doctor and get it from the horse's mouth, that would be where to go. Her name is Christina Packus and she's with Vivify. Um, If you are just curious and want to learn more, a great podcast is The Hormone Genius. Start in the beginning and just go forward. I would say that's incredibly helpful. She's actually the nurse that saw most of our kids for the first couple of years that we had kids. So up to kid two. Now this is seven. But she's wonderful, Teresa Kinney. And then her partner in crime on the podcast is a girl who does what I do. She's a fertility care practitioner. And that's informative like crazy because she goes into things that I don't know even.
Yeah.
Um,
You're
yeah.
anticipating. You're anticipating all my questions. You're hitting the resource one. You're telling us how to contact you, and I mean, maybe you should have been the host today. Could have
Uh,
interviewed yourself.
no, not at all. I am very blessed to be very connected to people who are connected. It's my gifting. So I can say, "Hey, do you know anybody?" And they can reach out.
Awesome. Okay, well, we should probably wrap this up and get into boss battle. Are you ready for that?
Probably not. Let's go
Okay.
for
Okay. Well, you don't have a choice unless you're like, Shaun, I can't. I gotta go to bed. And then we just end the show. Okay, here we go. We're going to boss battle. Thanks for being such a great guest. And we're gonna keep putting those links on where to find Jessica in there throughout the show. So let's go have some fun and test your knowledge on your favorite game. All right, segment 5, boss battle. Jessica, welcome. You're still on camera. You're in that little hole there, okay, on the boss battle screen. I know you don't play too many handhelds, Jess, and that's none at all. But the idea is to keep the batteries charged. So think of whatever you need to keep charged in a woman's life, in a mother's life. What would that be? You need to keep it charged. So you'll lose a battery for every one of these questions that you get wrong. That should make sense, right?
it.
Okay, this game is called Banana Battery Shutdown. It's just 14 questions testing your knowledge of Donkey Kong Country. It's themed and centered to help you win. Now, chat, as you know, your votes can be livened up and spruced up. You guys can help Jessica or you guys can damn Jessica.